Isabel Carvalhais. She is a member of the European Parliament, part of the group of the Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats. In addition, Isabel is a professor at University of Minho in Portugal, where she focuses on area around politics, democracy, citizenship studies. She's a full member of the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development, as well on fisheries. And in particular as well, nowadays, Isabel is the rapporteur of the own initiative report of the Agri Committee on the long-term vision for rural areas. And I think her words will be very inspiring around the topic we will be dealing as well today. So Isabel, thank you very much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you here, and the audience is all yours.
Thank you very much, Enrique, and thank you very much to AEDL for this kind invitation to join you at the launching of this European Local Innovation Forum. And I would also like to thank in particular to Serafim Passos Vidal, because it was the one who first thought of me and gave me the honor to take part of this very important occasion. First of all, let me apologize in advance, because I will need to go earlier. I will not be able to follow the entire event and to listen to the many good examples of community-led initiatives that I'm sure you will have here today. But unfortunately, this is an ethic agenda, a very heavy agenda in this plenary week. Usually it is, but this time it's even worse. So at a certain point, I will have to leave. It doesn't mean, because I really don't like to do it, which is to give the initial speech and then move. I'll just do it because I do have also other compromises that I must attend, that I can't miss them. Of course, innovation is absolutely key to help us with the answers that we need to so many of the challenges we're now facing. The green and digital transitions, the fight against climate change and biodiversity loss, food security, the need to develop Europe's strategic autonomy in energy and also in food and other production factors. These are all central challenges, that we are aware that we haven't been able so far to address in a satisfactory way. And we need new ways to structure our lives. As I see it, we cannot do so and be successful in this endeavor without a strong focus and investment on research and innovative solutions. But I often hear in the public debate, and very often in the agricultural sector, that the word innovation it stands almost as equivalent to new technology, as being all about the digital, the new breeding techniques, the precision farming. And I hear much less focus on the ways we organize our work, the ways we cooperate, how we design our working processes. And this is innovation too. So innovation can be everywhere in many forms, as you very well know, including in the way we think and approach problems. And what better example to illustrate this than precisely the European Local Innovation Forum. Let me be clear, because I don't want to be misunderstood. Technology is very important, and it can offer amazing solutions. We saw it very recently. We witnessed it, what we did with the COVID-19 vaccines, for instance. So science, technology, very much important. But non-technological innovations, social or economic innovations, are at least, as I see it, as important. And I would even go further and say that they are often more important than technological ones, because on many occasions, technology is there, we have it, but we lack the structures. We lack the organizational methods to take the best use of it for the sake of our communities and citizens. Think, for instance, about the digital. Technology is there, and usually it gets updated every 6 months. We have new gadgets and new stuff. But is it already for everyone, for everybody? And the truth is, the questions around digital inclusion, especially in a context of an aging population, and I come from Portugal, where our population is getting older and older. This shows that innovation is important, but if innovation is not also about the social level, we may be widening gaps in our society instead of reducing them. So this leads me, and I have a few notes, and I will try to follow as much as possible. This leads me to a subject that is quite dear to me, and one that I've been working on recently, the long-term vision for the rural areas. As you most likely know, the European Parliament's report, for which I am the rapporteur, intends to be our contribution towards rural communities. Communities where the issues around access to innovation and capacity building, empowerment, are felt in a deeper way. In particular, when we're talking about remote or less developed rural areas. And our aim is to contribute actively as much as possible to the construction of policies that will meet the needs and aspirations of these populations, and to the creation of conditions for them to play their important role in society. I think, for instance, that the European Local Innovation Forum can be and will be a very relevant tool for all areas and local agents. Of course, not just in the rural world, but also in the urban areas, as a way of bringing people together to share their experiences, their ideas, and to encourage positive changes for communities. I would say that, in fact, the barriers for local innovation are in many ways similar for rural and urban areas alike. We see, for instance, that although EU legislation envisages multi-level governance approaches and partnerships, there is still great resistance to their application in a meaningful way. This obviously is felt by peri-urban areas, but also very much by the rural world. And this needs to be broken. We need a policy and a regulatory environment, as well as supporting measures that would favor more community-based initiatives, involving local actors and organizations, authorities, civil society. They all must be called to play a more active role. They want to do so from a decision-making to policy development. It's not just about, consulting and hearing people. It's more than that. It's to allow them to have a more active role from decision-making to policy development, implementation and evaluation, as a way to best identify the needs and the answers for each territory. I think that empowering communities through their local actors must be a strong driver to promote greater social cohesion. Local communities are in a unique position to identify what are their problems and to find the solutions to such problems. And very important, they can bring innovation that is simultaneously compatible with their traditional knowledge, with their local cultures, their identities. They can bring innovation without it being disruptive for their local communities. Just a few words, I think you would be interested, for instance, on funding, namely regarding the structural funds support. This is important because we have to be practical. How do we do this? This is also about money, and there is a lot that can still be done to improve the support to community-led initiatives. At the EU level, the Commission, as we think, should work more to improve the synergies between European funding instruments and also with national instruments, facilitating more integrative approaches. And this, we believe, would allow to tackle issues at local level, that have often a multidisciplinary nature in a more effective way. The persistent obstacles to the multi-fund approach, another example, they end up hampering the deployment of these integrative approaches. So there should also be instead very clear guidelines for its implementation. This is why in our report, for instance, we also asked the Commission to put forward a legislative proposal by 23, no late, extending the possibility of the lead fund approach to interventions that are co-financed by more than one shared management fund to exist, and to further simplify it by stating clearly that the rules of the lead fund must apply to all funds involved in the project. These are attempts from a methodological point of view of trying to take the best that we can in terms of also of the funding opportunities that we have in the context of the European Union. And another action that could help to foster community-led innovation would be a meaningful earmarking for community-led local development under all the relevant funds at the EU level and member states, in a process that is similar to that of the European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development, which I believe could also contribute to stronger integrated strategies and to more sustainable and resilient territorial development. But allow me to go back to the rural areas and to their specific challenges, and why it is so important to bring innovation to these areas. We cannot ignore that rural areas, they have been struggling for a long time to have their voices heard, but heard in a way that is meaningfully appropriated by policymaking, which I think is still to happen. And questions related to depopulation and aging of the rural areas, which are also strongly connected with the lack of equal conditions and equal access to basic services. When we compare the conditions in the cities, they are very much different from those in the rural areas. And of course, this is one of the reasons why people in the rural areas live, especially young people, especially young women. This all brings serious risks to the vitality of our rural world. And the danger here is that when we go below a certain level of population, the loss of human capital is such that when you want to do something, when you want to bring innovation, the community loses any capacity, all capacity of initiative. Whether on innovation, on social innovation, or in any other fields. And we cannot allow this to happen. Of course, I know that this is part of a much more complex context of demographic decline in Europe, but this is a factor that we cannot underestimate. Just to conclude, because I also don't want to be exhaustive and to tire you, and to leave you with a strong positive note and not to seem so gloomy. What I have been privileged to see in this experience during the last months of more intense work, including field work with different local agents, especially in my country, but also at the European level, on the issues of rural areas, of local development in general, is that we have a very strong and committed community of researchers to begin with, also of civil society organizations, and also of local authorities, local players, local actors. And this is important capital. And this strong engagement in working for the benefit of local communities that we see so clearly today with all of you participating, this is for sure one strong driver for change, and it brings us a sign of hope. So I'm an optimistic person usually. Sorry, because I'm a bit not in very good conditions today as well. But I'm usually a very optimistic person, and I think that we must value what we have. And as I said, what we have is a very strong and committed community that wants to do innovation as a driver for change, for structural changes that bring good to our local communities. And this is really important. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will stay here listening as much as possible to learn also from you. Thank you. Back to you, Eric.
Isabel, thank you very much for these kind words, and I just would like to extend our gratitude for having taken the time, the limited time you have to be with us, to be with people and organizations and stakeholders that want to work on the ground for a better Europe through local development. So really for us, we are very thankful that you stay with us. Also, that you take the effort with your condition today. Hope you recover very fast. And I think your introduction was fantastic. And indeed, we want to take it as well from a positive side. We don't want to be all here together exchanging just about problems, how bad things work, but actually if we want to encourage this exchange because we see hope, we see a strategic line that we can manage with local actors to change the things that need to change in Europe.